What's up, everyone? Welcome to the May 21st edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, use the code Awesemo when you sign up. You get one free month of Awesemo plus Platinum, and you also get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. As usual, we're going to take a look at three of the top tournament stacks and three of the top tournament pitchers using the top stacks and top pitchers tools on the Awesemo.com website. Starting with the top three tournament stacks. Number three, the Los Angeles Angels are taking on Frankie Montas tonight in LA. This is a very difficult matchup. Montas has struck out 27.2% of hitters this year. He has a 3 flat xFIP. He's a good pitcher, but this is one of those slates. There's only 6 games. So in a lot of spots, you have kind of bad pitching facing bad offenses. You have good pitching facing good offenses. And this is one of those spots where it looks like both sides of this matchup are going to be at least a little bit underowned. The Angels are projected for about 4% ownership. They have a 3% chance of being the top value stack, a 7% chance of being the top scoring stack. They've been one of the best offenses in baseball this year with a 118 WRC+. They have a 175 ISO. Always a very high upside team to get to when they're low owned. Number two, the Baltimore Orioles taking on Jeffrey Springs and the Tampa Bay Rays. The Orioles are projected for about 6% ownership with a 7% chance of being the top scoring stack and an 11% chance of being the top value stack. Baltimore did call up baseball's top prospect, Adley Rutschman. Unfortunately, DraftKings apparently didn't think the top prospect in baseball would get called up to the major leagues anytime soon. So Adley Rutschman's not in the player pool. That does make it a bit more difficult to stack Baltimore. He most likely is going to be hitting somewhere towards the middle of the order, and not having him in there is going to not only give you one less hitter that you can choose from in your stacks, but obviously takes a productive part of the lineup away from you. So that's not super appealing, but still an inexpensive stack. They have a 4.3 implied run total. It is hot. It is gross in Baltimore. The ball should carry. Jeffrey Springs has been solid this year with a 25.3% strikeout percentage and a 3.0 xFIP, but still not really a proven commodity. Baltimore offensively also not very good at 91 WRC+, but not getting quite enough ownership, and they are inexpensive here as well. And number one, the Houston Astros taking on John Gray tonight in Houston. Houston has been one of the best offenses in baseball. They have a 116 WRC+. They have a 182 ISO. Gray, certainly not a bad pitcher, a 24.5% strikeout percentage, and a 3.3 xFIP so far this year, but still a 4.8 implied run total for the Astros. They're projected for about 7% ownership with a 10% chance of being the top scoring stack, only about a 2% chance of being the top value stack. Now, looking at the top tournament pitchers, number three, Kyle Bradish going for the Orioles in a tough spot against Tampa Bay. He is only $6,100, though. He's projected for 8% ownership with a 20% chance of being a top 2 pitcher and a 31% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. Bradish has been impressive for the most part since coming to the major leagues. He has a 25.3% strikeout percentage, 3.44 xFIP, and he will be reunited with a familiar battery partner tonight with Adley Rutschman making his major league debut for Baltimore behind the plate. He does have a difficult matchup, however, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays, who have a 108 WRC+ this year. Tampa Bay will be without Brandon Lau, which does weaken their lineup a little bit. And they do have a 23.3% strikeout percentage as a team this year as well. Number two, Joe Ryan, projected for 20% ownership with a 21% chance of being a top 2 pitcher and an 11% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. He's $8,800 tonight, taking on the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City. Ryan has struck out 24.2% of hitters this year. He does have a little bit of an inflated xFIP at 4.32, but this is a solid matchup against the Royals. They have a 79 WRC+, which is one of the worst in baseball. They've only struck out about 20.2% of the time as a team, but they will also be without Salvador Perez tonight, which certainly weakens their lineup quite a bit. And number one, Frankie Montas in that difficult matchup against the Angels that I mentioned earlier. Montas is $9,800, projected for about 25% ownership with a 13% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher and a 33% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher. As I mentioned, about a 27% strikeout percentage, a 3.0 xFIP. There are some strikeouts to be had in the Angels lineup as well. They've struck out between 24 and 25% of the time as a team this year. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks on DraftKings: number 3, the Los Angeles Angels; number 2, the Baltimore Orioles; and number 1, the Houston Astros. And the top 3 tournament pitchers: number 3, Kyle Bradish; number 2, Joe Ryan; and number 1, Frankie Montas.